Hey everybody, Matt Johnston here, and we're back talking about the Maryland Family Medical Leave Act that was recently passed by the General Assembly. In this video, we're going to be talking about some of the impacts and some of the planning that small businesses are probably going to have to do in order to comply with this new law. We had two previous parts to this video, one dealing with the large-scale issues and one dealing with some of the details of employee protections and things like that. Please go back and check out those videos. We'll put a link to them down in the show notes. So before I get started on this video, please do me a favor, reach down there, so hit that subscribe button that you see there, and if you click the bell, you'll get a notice when we have posted new content. So the Family Medical Leave Act is going to create some additional complexities for small businesses in particular. The first thing that you as employers are going to need to know and understand is that you're going to need to know who is covered and what kind of care is going to be covered. So really take notice of the definitions of family members. Make sure you understand that, and also take care to understand what kinds of care or leave for purposes can be taken. So those are the kinds of sort of knowledge-based issues. The next thing that you're going to have to do as an employer is you're going to have to start planning for your contribution. If you're an employer with 15 or more employees, you will be required to contribute some money towards the insurance program. This will be a payroll tax, just like the unemployment tax that you have to pay or the state income tax that you have to pay. So this is part of the payroll taxes. So you're going to have to start budgeting for that. It's going to be a little hard to budget for that right now because we don't know what the number is going to be that the Secretary of Labor is going to issue. We won't know until June of next year. But you'll need to start planning for this. You're also going to want to start talking to your employees often, regularly, and in very simple terms, saying that beginning on October 1st, in order to pay for these benefits, the employees are going to have to be making a deduction. You are going to have to make a deduction from their paycheck, from their side of the paycheck, to cover this. And who knows what that number is going to be? It could be $50, it could be $100. I have no idea. It's going to be an interesting sort of question. So small businesses and their employers are going to have to start planning for that. So it's going to take a lot of communication. It's going to take a lot of people starting to understand what that means. And if you're looking to influence how our friends at the General Assembly are going to be doing this, you now have lots and lots of time to make your case to your members of the Assembly and maybe get some changes made in next year's legislative session. But my advice to you is don't hold your breath. Okay, so what are some of the other implications? Well, the first is going to be the financial implications. Obviously, if you have 15 or more employees, you're going to have to make the contribution. But if you have 14 or fewer employees, you're not going to have to make the contribution, but you are going to have to make a really, really calculated decision before you jump to that 15th employee. Now, 15 is already a magic number. It's when Maryland's paid safe and sick leave kicks in at 15 employees, as will this employer side contribution. So whenever somebody hires an employee, I often tell them you should tack on about another 20% in costs over and above what you're going to be paying this person. So that extra 20% covers things like employer side payroll taxes, insurance premiums, workers' comp premium increases, and any other benefits that you provide to your employers. So let's say you're going to be hiring somebody and you're going to pay this person $50,000 a year. I do this just because it makes the math easier. You then have to sort of budget $60,000 for this person's pay and benefits. Okay, that means that person needs to be generating about $60,000 in revenue in order to justify the hire. Okay, So whether they're actually creating that revenue or whether you're building enough revenue through other sources to cover that, you've got to bring in that $60,000. Okay. Now, because jumping from 14 to 15 employees is now a very expensive step in the state of Maryland, you need to be thinking about what is that increase going to be. So it's not just this particular employee who's going to have an increase, it's all the other 14 employees that you have that are going to have this increase. Okay, so now you have to provide paid safe and sick leave. Now that can be incorporated into your PTO policy, but now you have to also start making the employer's side contribution to the family medical leave insurance. So now you have an additional sort of number that has to go in there. And what that number looks like is again an unknown right now. You could be looking at another $20, $30, $40,000 that you have to generate and cover when going from 14 employees to 15 employees. Okay, so this extra budgeting is an important part of what's going to be going into your calculus when you're hiring that next person. So you need to make sure that the hire that you're going to make is going to be financially worth it. So there are some obviously there's complications for that. There are, financial implications for that, and it would be a good time to have a conversation both with your attorney and with your accountant and or bookkeeper to sort of manage this. Now, on a slightly political level, this is going to artificially constrain some growth amongst small businesses. It is a big step. It used to be, oh, I need to bring on a 15th employee just part time. I need somebody to answer the phones part time. Well, now bringing on that 15th employee probably is going to have to be a full timer, and they're probably going to have to be making enough money to cover an additional cost, not just their own salary and costs. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of it, but this is the world that we're in. I like the idea of paid family leave, paid medical leave. I think it's a good thing, except that I have to separate the it's really nice from a benefit standpoint from the complications and compliance that has to happen for my clients. So, if you are one of my clients or you would like to be a client and you want to discuss what this family medical leave insurance is going to look like, please schedule a consultation. There's a link down below in the show notes, and we can discuss sort of what's going to be happening and some of the steps that you need to be taking now to start preparing for this. I know 18 months sounds like a long way away. It really isn't. So, yeah, be happy to speak to anybody if you have any questions. In the meantime, we'll be doing some other post legislative session updates with some other legislation that was passed that has some impacts on Maryland employers. In the meantime, this is Matt Johnston, Matt the Lawyer signing off. Go out and watch some live soccer, y'all. Talk to you later.